And onto the other issue of Mr. President, one thing I always say is that we need someone who does solutions. The girl asked a simple question: what are you going to do about education? Peter Obi always does this. He's quoting statistics and positioning of us on some table. That's not what she asked. She wants to know if he has a solution to the problem. You don't just throw something like, I will invest in education. Where will you get the money from? I always tell people that the only candidate today who does solutions and who will tell you, I will invest in education and this is how I'll do it, is Atiku Abubakar. He's the only one that's prepared to lead. So while I have no issue with Mr. Peter, he's a fine gentleman, a well-accomplished man, I think that people should start asking him the real question: how? And that is what we don't do in Nigeria. We don't question. People just come and tell you, I will do this. Don't ask them how. And I think that is when we lack for me. So while people might call him Mr. President, and I think it's a title that has to be earned, he also has to become a bit more presidential and show us that he's fit to do this job. Because the job we're talking about is not just about quoting statistics on TV or reading flowery speeches. We have bandits everywhere in the north. We've got unrest in the southeast. There's chaos in the land. ASU has been on strike, as they said, for 4 months. I want to hear somebody, a candidate, a presidential candidate, 7 months to the election, tell me how he's going to fix the ASU problem without people going into a long story. And I've not seen that. I think all these parties are not prepared to lead. I think it's obvious that the only party that is ready, who has a presidential and substantive vice presidential candidate, is the PDP. And I think that we should just really call it quits, and make sure that next time the selection process is more rigorous. We don't want candidates that are going to waste our time. We want elections to become, and I'm not seeing that at all this season.
All right, thank you very much, Jide. Let's take from what Shola said. Do you think that people are not asking P2B the right questions? And he also talked about it should be more presidential. I want you to look at those two issues.
Shola is entitled to his opinion, and he has shown his preference among the presidential candidates. But I think, we did listen to the full tape of that interview. He possibly was laying the premise for his own solution and wanting to give a background of statistics, because we have always said that there is no data, there is dearth of data and all of that. I know that the job of a president is not something that is very easy. Uneasy lies there that wears a crown. And what we have seen in Nigeria is that people struggle to acquire or to get to an office without having a clue on how to preside over those offices. And peradventure, we have had too many chanced presidents who were not really prepared for the hard work. People just wanted to be president for the sake of being called president, and not that they really were very prepared. But I would not say that Peter Obi was not prepared. I believe he's one of those who possibly have who is IT savvy, who is a cosmopolitan and can bring practical solutions. He has done it in Anambra, and I believe if given the bigger pie, he may be able to perform better. But what I think may be impeding the chances of Peter Obi is, will he be able to go beyond South to convince the northern youths to rally behind him? I see him in the mold of Buhari in 2003, 2007, 2011, where he was posting 11 million, 15 million, 8 to 10 million votes at every election, but that was not helpful to him to become president. I think Peter Obi needs to go beyond being in Abuja. Let's see him in Kano, let's see him in Jigawa, in Sokoto, and let's see how much of vibe that the northern youths are rallying behind, because he already, I would say, for FCT, for Lagos, for Southeast, I would say if the election were to be held today, it's a done deal that he will win majority of the vote. But that's not to say that other aspirants will not have the 25% that is expected of them. But can a Peter Obi get 25% in Jigawa, in Kebbi, in Sokoto, in Maiduguri, in Borno or Yobe? Will he be able to get that? Now he's also as guilty of APC getting a placeholder to be his vice president pending the time when they will find a good a good running mate. And then there have been talks about him meeting with Kwakwanso. Kwakwanso wanting Peter Obi that he would have preferred him being his running mate. And Peter Obi now has become a movement. He has now developed a life of his own. And I'm not too sure whether Kwakwanso will want to be a running mate to Peter Obi. But you never can say never, because political alliances can be built and there is sufficient time to do that. But I'm just seeing Peter Obi in the mode of somebody who is generally acceptable in the South, but who is yet to be fully embraced by the North, whether the Northern elite or the Northern youth. I've not seen that kind of uh, that kind of build up that we have seen in the South. Because if you look at why majority of Southeasterners are now enrolling on INEC CVR, it's because of P2B primarily. That's why you see in the Southeast, which have largely ignored the continuous voter registration exercise, you now see huge turnout of registrants. Recall that in Imo State, even an INEC official was shot by unknown gunmen and killed just like a couple of months back. But today, the same youth are now embracing registration because of P2B. So, but does he have that appeal in the North? I don't think he yet have it. He may have to work on a strategy, because there's no polling unit on social media. And his social media savvy, is tweeting per second, is quoting statistics. But we saw that with APC presidential primary. Those who made the best speeches never won even one single vote. Even in the PDP primary, we have those who had very laudable speeches, who could be classified as orators. But how many votes did they garner? So, it's one thing to be very articulate, it's another thing to be able to get out people to vote for you. But that's not to say that it doesn't have a chance. It does have a chance in next year election if he can build on the momentum, seize the moment, and build a movement similar to what Macron did in France. But this north-south divide is a cause concern, as cause for concern for Peter Obi. For Atiku already have a nationwide network, and just like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But for Peter Obi, it's still more like a southern candidate that is yet to find his feet among the northern elite and northern youth.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks also to Chirit Wamodak, who has joined us from Jos. We thank you for still holding on, join on the program. You can kindly like, share, and comment and subscribe to SYMFONI. All right. Actually, let's quickly, before we go into the meat of our discussion this evening, looking at the presidential candidates, quite a number of things that we expect them to make comments on. But it looks as if everybody is turning a blind eye. Shola also made reference to that. Everybody is turning a blind eye to very critical issues. Nobody wants to talk about them. They say that they feel they'll be hurting themselves addressing some of these issues right now.
My fear here is that we are returning to 2015 gradually.
How do you mean?
We are making exactly the same mistakes we made in 2015. as of 2015, the whole momentum was about the individual called Muhammad Buhari. And he was presented as the man with the magic wand. The moment he entered the presidential villa, every problem with Nigeria would be resolved. And soon after he entered the presidency, we saw the attribute of body language. It was by barely moving his body, Nigeria was being reset, every problem was being solved. As of 2015 also, you recall that there were people, online warriors, who literally fight you online, insult you, abuse you for raising opinion against Buhari's candidature. We are gradually returning to that. It shows clearly that as 2023 approaches, we are thinking more with our hearts than with our heads. And when we think with our hearts, it means that we are more emotional about what is to come than we are rational. I like being rational. I like being realistic and facing the reality. I'll tell you, look, if it is white, it is white. It cannot be black. But the reality here is that we are facing a situation whereby a lot of people are telling you that every problem of Nigeria will be resolved the moment somebody like Peter B gets into office. The same argument got in 2015. That, Buhari came that if you catch corrupt people and put them in prison, every problem will be solved. We come to realize that it goes beyond arresting corrupt. In fact, even the corruption issue has even defeated him himself, defeated his government. So we have to be careful how we handle issues. Peter B is a nice guy, like I said before. He's a fine gentleman. He understands what he wants to do. He has his own ideas. Fantastic. But we are not interrogating the actual issues that Nigeria needs.
Not just him.
All of them. From 1999, Nigerians have been crying. We've cried about Sovereign Nation Conference. We cried about it. It's overtook by the issue of resource control. At the point where resource control was on the table, it was like, if you don't grab resource control, Nigeria will collapse. We moved from that to restructuring. As of 2014, by the time Jonathan called the national conference, it was like, without restructuring, Nigeria cannot move forward. Here we are, almost 8 years after, from 2014 to now. It was not restructured. And everybody is still crying restructuring. Unfortunately, we've not gone into the elections campaigns proper. But as it is right now, even those who have had opportunity of engaging the presidential aspirants, presidential candidates, both Asiwaju, both Waziri and Peter Obi, nobody has asked any of them a question like, if you become president, will you restructure Nigeria? If you restructure, where will you start? If you will not restructure, why wouldn't you do that? These are critical questions that every other person is asking. If you look at Ohaneze, the Middle Belt Forum, Pandef, and all those other groups that come together, they have always hit their nail at the point, look, it's about restructuring Nigeria. There are other people from other parts of Nigeria who said there's no need to restructure, that we've always had restructuring going on gradually. That we have all these arguments. If you look at all the conferences that I've had in Nigeria leading to the making of the constitution, they've always been about how to fix Nigeria, get Nigeria better. But we have come to realize that irrespective of what we've done so far, that we still are the same point, simply rotating around the same cycle. There are critical issues that we're not addressing. Do we have any presidential candidate that can come up openly and say, look, if I win the election between 2023 and the end of 2024, I'm going to take this step towards restructuring Nigeria? Is any of the candidates rightly bold enough to come out to tell Nigeria that if I become president, I'm going to decentralize the police, for instance? Will anybody say, if I become president, I'm going to decentralize the military? For instance, I'm going to create a state police structure, or I'm going to even enforce local government autonomy to make sure that every state in Nigeria conducts local government elections such that the people at the grassroots must elect their leaders, no longer governors appointing. These are critical issues about administration in Nigeria.
All right. Okay, let's hear from Jiritwa Mogak from Jos. Are you still with us?
I'm here.
All right. You have any comments, reactions?
Well, let me pick it up from the video we just watched of one of the presidential candidates. As a voter, I am particularly worried that Labour Party and its candidate have a lot of work to do. And so 7 months for me, it's not enough time for someone who just switched political party. He needs to understand the party very well. He has issues around picking a running mate, which they are still working on that. While I was watching the video, I was worried for the young girl, because she was trying to get cogent answers from the presidential candidate, and I was wondering if he was stable enough to put his thoughts together. He has a party, a new party, to even understudy and understand how it works. And then I'm also worried that if you follow those who drafted the workings of the National Assembly, there's a majority leader and a minority leader. Do we currently have senators who have emerged on the platform of the Labour Party? Do we have members of the Federal House of Reps who have currently emerged on the platform of the Labour Party? So it's one thing for me to go vote for a president on a platform, and then he emerges alone with us, the National Assembly, that are expected to help him run a government. And so he will run into trouble begging other political parties who are likely to be in the majority and also in the minority, which for me, PDP is going to be in the majority, APC in the minority, and Labour Party nowhere to be found. Or perhaps we may be just 1 or 2 senators in the Senate House and few members of the reps. That in itself is going to cause the president running from pillar to post, trying to convince the other arm of government, which is supposed to work with him, effortlessly. So for me, I'm not particularly attracted, and I belong to a school of thought of people who feel that for you to really successfully be a president in a country like Nigeria, you need a lot of things to bring on board. So it's not just for us to have a fantastic person like the person of His Excellency Peter Obi becoming president of Nigeria. We have I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party, and my candidate is one who have over the years proven that he has capacity to run different sectors of Nigeria. For example, you asked earlier how ASU will be. What I can say about ASU. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar currently has a university that is being run by a team, so he understands very well what it means to run a university, what it means to have staff being paid, what it means for students to be in a conducive environment. What I expect that students will do, particularly NANS, is to organize a debate run by themselves, not to depend on journalists to ask questions of these candidates or what they will do or how they intend to handle ASU strike. You will see that we were all insulted as Nigerians by the government in the party in government, where even the minister handling the issue of labor is running for president. So he abandoned the issue of sorting the ASU strike and going to seek for office while you haven't solved this assignment you have been given. If the minister had brought everyone on deck, has been on this issue as expected, has advised the president as it should be. Don't forget that ASU, this is not the first time ASU is going on strike since this government came into place. So it shows the lack of strategy on how to handle the issues surrounding ASU and its agitation. So for me, if you ask me, I will say that the People's Democratic Party is one party, not just because of the party, but the candidate we have at hand now is one that is coming to board, has promised, has demonstrated, even from his last campaign, how he recruited those who worked for him, on how he intends to run his government. And I assure you that ASU is one of the issues that we have discussed as our strategy meeting. And in the coming days, you will get to see how they intend to.